I hopefully feel like the upstairs neighbors will be quiet, but I don't know. Anyways, if you watched my last video, my Manga Log for March, you would know that I didn't really read anything. The only thing that I did in the month of March was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This game took up all my time, all my free time. I would have beaten it a lot faster if I didn't have work. Unfortunately, I need to pay bills. So, this game was great. I will say there were definitely some problems that I had with it, and there were some critiques, but overall I enjoyed my experience with it. And I enjoyed just everything that went about it. And I'm just going to talk about it and talk how I feel like it's definitely a good game. I will tell you my critiques about it and so on and so forth. So, one out of the way, spoilers. I'm going to just talk about what I think about it and story-wise, certain elements about it. That means I will also be spoiling Final Fantasy VII Rebirth if you've not played it. No. I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you haven't played that one, I will be spoiling it, so you've been warned. And also Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, obviously, because this is the video. So, little backstory. First off, I will come out and say it. I have not been able to get around to playing Final Fantasy VII, the original one, the one that came out in 97. Mostly because I haven't had the time, and two, I was planning on playing it at some point, but then they announced Final Fantasy VII Remake when I was in college, and at that point I was like, I'll just play that first and then eventually get around to playing the original. Granted, at the time, I didn't know that it was going to be 3 games until like later on when I've already decided, I'm going to just play the remakes first and then go back to playing the original. So, out of the water, I didn't realize this was going to take a long time because between Remake and Rebirth, that was about 4 years. And I was like, well, hopefully 4 years from now, whatever they're going to make the third part, I'm going to guess that it's probably going to be called like Reunion or something. They do say that a lot in the game. So anyways, I enjoyed the first one. I played it in 2020, and I had pre-ordered it. I did everything, and I loved it. I had just no life the game because I wasn't in work at the time, and not a lot of people were in work at the time. So I essentially made that my daytime job. I started playing when I woke up at 6:30 and kept on playing until I went to bed around like 10 or 12 at points. Obviously I took breaks here and there after a couple of hours, just relax, ate food and all that. So in a week I put 42 hours or so into the game. Rebirth, on the other hand, over the course of a month, I had put almost 100 hours into it. Like, quite literally, if I had like done a few other things like here and there, I would have gotten exactly 100 hours. But I didn't do everything in Rebirth, and there's definitely some stuff that I'm missing. I didn't finish the Proto Relic missions, specifically the last one where you fight the boss at the very end and like the 2 other bosses. That it's just one of those things that I never got around to finishing it because I wasn't high enough level, and the best way to level up in that game is to go through the chapters again on hard mode, which gives you more XP, which in turn means that you get faster leveling. And then the other thing that I didn't do was the mini games, specifically the final, like the second to last side quest, which has you play a lot of different mini games, and certain mini games I was never going to fucking get good at. So I was just like, okay, I'm good not doing every single side quest. Obviously, there's some that I would have really enjoyed doing, but I'm just like, I'm fine not getting everything in that. So, all in all, as a whole, with the 100 hours, because either though it was like 3 or 4 minutes off, 100 hours that I put into Rebirth, I would say it's a very solid game. Very good game. It does have some slight drawbacks here and there. I feel like there was just way too many minigames at the end of the day. Like, every single time I did a side quest, I was like, okay, what are we doing here? We're going to go fight a monster? We're going to do this? No, we played another fucking minigame. I was just like, there are so many goddamn minigames in this game that I'm just like, why? You don't need this many. There was like a shooting gallery, there was a fucking race, there was a soccer game, there was a fucking what was another one? There was a tactics sort of like 3-lane battle mini game. There was so many. There was an on-rails shooter mini game. There were so many. The only one that I really fucking enjoyed was Queen's Blood, which is a card like tile-based mini game that I played every single one of those, and completed the very long side quests tied to that. And the story-wise, I know the original story, not because I played it, but because it's at this point almost 30 years old, and I have been on the internet and I have played other Final Fantasy games, and obviously people are going to spoil shit even if I try so fucking hard not to get spoiled. So I already knew the basic gist of how it was going to go, and for the most part, it stayed there, but changing up several things, as well as changing up certain characters and where you meet them and how they act as such, and fleshing out other characters. For instance, I do like Vincent Valentine, voiced by Matthew Mercer from Critical Role and other products and such. I kind of wish that he was playable. He is not playable. It's sort of like the Red 13 situation from Remake. I wish that he was playable. Just because, we don't... I just kind of wanted to play as him. And I feel like he's definitely going to be playable, as well as Sid. Sid was not a playable character in this one. He mostly acted as, in the later part of the game, the fast travel system, as well as the person driving your boat type of deal. And I kind of also wish that you were able to play as him, because in the original they were both playable characters, with Vincent specifically being a secret unlock character. So he didn't really have much of a story in that one, but now he has a little bit more, and they sort of teased it out in this one. But I feel like in the third game they will definitely expand it, or they fucking might remake Dirge of Cerberus for all I know. All in all, the character interactions were great. I definitely enjoyed it, and I also liked the fact that they showed a lot more of Cloud's degradation as a soldier. In Advent Children, it was pretty heavily talked about. I also watched Advent Children, and for the most part, I enjoyed a lot of the different things. I will say the ending became muddle. The gameplay wise, for the most, like the entirety of it, I'm not like, it was great. Like, sure, I do like turn-based strategy games at heart, and I do like turn-based RPGs, but I feel like the change from turn-based to action translated well in Remake, and they just continued refining it in Rebirth. So I'm not going to criticize the gameplay. I highly loved it, and so on. The only things that really dragged down the entire experience was story-wise, because they added story is a little bit more complicated, and the original one was complicated, but then they were like, what if we made it even more? So based off of what I know, in the original Final Fantasy VII, essentially Sephiroth is trying to end the world and become king, well, a god essentially, and he needs the black materia to do that, so he can extinguish all life and become a god, and all that fun jazz. So, you know, the people, the group in Final Fantasy VII, the party, wants to stop him. Which is all well and good, and definitely is explained well. For some strange reason, Sephiroth, who really likes to fuck with Cloud, was like, messing him up in one reality isn't enough. What if we did multiple? And now there's a multiverse of Final Fantasy VII? Like, there were so many times where I'm like, why though? The original had a pretty solid story. Sure, it got complicated in certain parts, but what's with the multiverse? Does Sephiroth truly want to fuck with Cloud so much that he wants to do it in every reality, not just his own? And it also then muddles up how, spoilers, as I said, Aerith's death is shown in this one. Because Aerith dies, even though at one point I thought she was going to live, which would have definitely changed the story in a significant way from the original. But because of the weird realities, she's there, but she isn't. And the theory that I'm going with, because at the end, after an hour-long 7 or 8 phase boss fight, with switching between like 3 different battle perspectives, you finally get Sephiroth to run away, and everyone's mourning except fucking Cloud, because he still sees Aerith, and Aerith isn't there to everyone else. So she might, like, the 2 theories that I've heard is that either, 1, Cloud can only see her because he's the only one that has traveled through different realities. As such, she isn't there in his reality, but he is still able to view her, and as a result is able to still hand her the white materia, because she gave him from a different reality to then give to this reality. Complicated. Or the one that I kind of like a little bit more, that would be pretty interesting if they continue down this path, is that soldiers' cells degrade over time, and it is just all in Cloud's head. All the seeing Aerith and all that is just all in Cloud's head, and there isn't really any explanation other than he is slowly going insane. And I think that would be pretty cool. Granted, though, I feel like he will be able to overcome it in the 3rd game, because if that's not the case, Jesus Christ, are going for a lot darker of a ending. So the majority of it I did enjoy. I love the combat, I love the gameplay. The story, for the most part, I understood and enjoyed, until they started adding in multiverses to it, and I'm just like, why make it more complicated? Why not just have Sephiroth being evil to want to become a god, to destroy the world, and that's the reason. You don't need so many other multiverses. That also confuses, because Zack is technically alive but not really alive, and there was a time in the game where Cloud didn't remember Zack, even though he should have, because Zack is his friend, and the reason why he has the Buster Sword is because of Zack. It was the entirety of the game I liked. The changes to the story, I don't know how they're going to do because this is the middle portion of a trilogy. So whatever the third game is going to be needs to stick the fucking landing, because if they don't stick the landing, oh, that's going to be bad. So hopefully this is me praying to whatever DD wants to fucking listen, that they'll stick the landing, as well as the world doesn't end because of World War III. Those two things, and my student loans being cleared, those three things I'm hoping for, and getting a house. Those four things that I'm hoping for, I swear, I just need a dub in my life. I just need them to stick the landing for the third part of this series, and then I can go back to play all the others and be happy. I just want to be happy. And as much as I griped about the ending, I feel like the majority of it was solid and successful. I love the different party members. Instead of only having in the first one you only had Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, and Barrett, and then Red 13 helped out a little bit at the end. In this one you now have those four. Red 13 joins in, then you also have Yuffie and fucking Kate Sith. I enjoyed how the different characters played, and quite literally the gameplay is super solid. I cannot stress this enough. It was real great, and I hope to fucking God that the story doesn't get more complicated in the third one. Because why did they had to add multiverses? They didn't need to. They didn't. So, yeah. All in all, good game. The story got weirder. I just hope that they stick the landing for the third one. That is it. So, if you enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, put it down in the comments. Tell me what you thought about the story and what you thought about the gameplay. If you want to see more of this bearded face, think about hitting the subscribe button. And if you liked this discussion on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, hit the like button. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was a good game. And again, I feel like they don't need to complicate the story anymore. So, stay safe out there. Read some good manga. Play some good video games. Listen to some banger music. And get your friends together to play some great TTRPGs. That's it. Bye.